I would welcome to committee this morning, March 26th, our Senate and House Conference Committee. I think the first thing I would like to do is just ask the revisers to give us a bit of a recap on where we're at with things. Would that, you all could do a recap on where we're at? Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. So hopefully you have your chart still. There will be an update later today after we get some more agreements and such, but for now we're still on the old one from March 25th. So Senate Bill 30, we're going to remove that one. The conferees were changed on that bill, and it went to conference between House Commerce and Senate Judiciary and was used for fingerprinting purposes and maybe another purpose. So I'll take that one off. 54, the tentative agreement is for the Senate to concur. Senate Bill 84, tentative agreement was to move those contents to House Bill 2347, which would leave that as a shell. Senate Bill 135, no tentative agreement, but you did discuss that the Senate could concur at any time. Senate Bill 156, tentatively move the contents to House Bill 2347, create a shell. Senate Bill 157, you discussed an amendment offered by Senator Titus and paused your consideration at that point. Senate Bill 186, no discussion yet. It's percolating on the crimes, punishment, criminal procedure discussion that you worked on yesterday. Senate Bill 204, the House offered to add Senate Bill 53, and we left it at that. Senate Bill 237, tentative agreement is to move the contents to House Bill 2062 and create a shell. And the House further offered to use, or recommended, I guess, to the Senate that they use that shell for House Bill 2323, which is the insurance bill. Then to the House bills, House Bill 2062, you reached a tentative agreement about the balloon amendment and adding Senate Bill 237. You have an agree to disagree that has been adopted by the Senate with new conferees appointed, and the House will bring that up shortly. And once you have that, you can get back together, renew your agreement or change your agreement, and we'll have a new CCR that 4 of you will need to sign. House Bill 2134, your tentative agreement is to use Senate Bill 70 as amended by the House and retain the Senate amendment regarding itemized cost statement. And that conference committee report will be available to sign for you shortly. House Bill 2155, the House offered to add House Bill 2349. That would make this a bill about law enforcement. That's how those two would fit together. The Senate tentatively agreed to do that if the House would accept the Titus amendment on Senate Bill 157. So you have sort of a tentative understanding there, maybe not agreement, but Senate sub
Jason,
for House.
Remind me what 2349 is.
Sure, that's the scrap metal bill.
Thank you.
And the only piece of the scrap metal bill would be the piece that specifically allows law enforcement to investigate violations of the act. So that's why it's law enforcement and not something else. Thanks. I should have mentioned that. Then Senate sub for House Bill 2164. The House offered 4 amendments, and I did prepare a balloon amendment if you want to bring that up again this morning. House Bill 2183, I have no discussion specific to that one. It's part of the crimes, punishment, criminal procedure consideration as well, I think, just overall. And then the final page, House Bill 2242, tentative agreement is for the House to concur. House Bill 2347, tentative agreement is for the House to accede to the Senate amendments regarding theft and to add the contents of Senate Bill 156, which was on the chart earlier, and I'll remind you is the laser pointer crime. Also add the contents of Senate Bill 84, which was another one we talked about earlier, the gift card in the crime of criminal use of a financial card crime, And then Senate Bill 71, which is not in conference, and that is the bill about buying sexual relations and also the treatment program that would be adopted by the Attorney General for related, education and treatment for commercial sexual exploitation, I think is the term that's used. So it's a bundle of 3 additional bills on top of the theft bill that's there. And then finally, House Bill 2371, your tentative agreement is to have a conference committee report that changes the date, the effective date back to statute book. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
Madam Chair, could I have one more note? And this just came
Yes.
up because we were writing the report and the brief last night. House Bill 2347, we do that bundle. Theft is, the theft bill is effective on publication in the statute book, right, as most crimes. A couple of those other crimes we pulled in, we had changed to register in committee. And our assumption was we would leave it as statute book, given the criminal content, but I wanted to make sure, just because we had a chance to talk about it, that all of that should be statute book and not register.
Yep, thank you for that. And yes, I think generally, we always put the criminal statutes July 1st, but I'd like to make sure that my counterpart agrees with that.
Thank you. And that would be fine. We're adding into 2347 the contents of Senate Bill 71, 84, and 156, and that's agreeable unless I see some objection to make those all effective upon statute book. Okay, thank you. Which I don't see any objections, so. Madam Chair, I think that leaves then some discussion on Senate Bill 157, 186, 204. $21.55, 21, well, there's quite a bit, so wherever we want to start. I was hoping it was a smaller list.
I'll go ahead and kick things off. You had offered an amendment to Senate Bill 157. And after discussion and, talking to others, that is not an amendment that we're going to be able to agree to for various reasons. I mean, I could go into it, but I think probably leaving it at that is the best. It's not something that we're going to be able to accept. And I know that we had another one that sort of, it was a House Bill 2155, and that depended on us taking the amendment to Senate Bill 157. So, that's kind of where that's going to be. I mean, right now, I think we're not moving forward with the amendment on 157. So I'm assuming that then adding House Bill 2349 to House Bill 2155 that was kind of what the thought was. So we're back to square one, I think, with those bills.
Thank you. And since we're discussing primarily a Senate bill, could we have a reminder from the reviser about what the amendment to 157 from Senator Titus is?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. The amendment would be to require a search warrant for surveillance, essentially, by law enforcement officers via cameras or recording devices that are installed in the public right-of-way or in private property that is public right-of-way. And I can take any specific questions about that.
Thank you. Are there any questions or discussion? Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, we wanted to put this, or I wanted to make sure we put this out there. I think we really were not very thoughtful in expanding search warrant authority, and why those bills didn't go through Judiciary, I don't know. But I think we've been in enough committees, it would have been a very different conversation. And we're expanding police power. We're not putting, you know, the way the bill was introduced, it was almost egregious, the lack of checks and accountability on private property. And so I'm really concerned about this. And I would, I guess, if for whatever reason we're prioritizing that not putting protections in place, I guess I understand, kind of, but I would really like a firm commitment that we'll work on bills to review that next year if we're going to leave this on the table, because I think we've done the state a disservice by the way this has all played out.
So I don't disagree with you that there was the legalities of all of this. It would have been great to have a judiciary take a look at it. And so depending on how it comes up and where it all lands, I am certainly more than happy to take a look at it. I mean, I think our committee would, you know, be more than happy to take a look at it. So, I mean, I'm not the one that decides where bills go, you know. So, but if it lands with us, that would be great, and I would welcome that opportunity to look at it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate that commitment to taking, working on that. And it is curious why we're not also putting protections in place for the rights of Kansans too, to be, you know, free from unreasonable searches and to be looking at Fourth Amendment protections at the same time. So I'm not clear on why we're not advancing this, but with a commitment to do so next session would be a good idea.
Okay. I mean, I know we have a lot to do, so I decided not to just go into all of it. I think some of it is that, you know, the House, that was brand new language to us. We hadn't really seen it, hadn't vetted it. I had some questions about, sorry, okay, I owe everybody a treat. I'd love it if we never came back because we get it all done this morning. I don't think that's going to happen, but anyway. Again, you know, we hadn't seen it. We hadn't had a chance to talk to anybody about it. I don't disagree that I understand, you know, putting some parameters around it. We probably would need to add some Fourth Amendment things to that. You know, it just didn't seem ready, and I felt uncomfortable agreeing to the amendment. And even I was unclear about, you know, just the warrant, the process, if it's public. What if there's a right-of-way on someone's private property? You know, like there's a electric something that runs through their property. You know, I just had questions that I felt like we didn't have the opportunity to hash out in committee, and this didn't seem the appropriate place to do it. So I think at the moment, I'd just like to leave it at that.
We didn't have those problems when we gave unfettered access, but we have problems protecting people from that unfettered access. Just that's what it sounds like. Because we did say it was okay to do that, but not to ask for permission to do that.
So again, I wasn't involved in that discussion either, and so that's why this is all brand new to all of us. Yeah. Should we move on to something else? You
Sure,
go ahead.
Appreciate the commitment to work on that next session if that's not something the House is agreeable to this session. So regarding then, that leaves us with Senate Bill 157. And I don't think there was any other discussion about 157. At least as of this time, there hadn't been. So maybe we should look at something we had been discussing already.
I'll throw something out and y'all can have a discussion. I'm completely changing the subject. I would like to throw on the table, put on the table, I suppose. So we had a bill that's actually not in conference, House Bill 2131, known as the Jailhouse Witness Bill. And I would like to suggest putting it in a Senate shell, Senate Bill 84, that we have that shell available. And I will make that offer.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for that offer. So do we want a brief statement from the reviser about what House Bill 2131 is? Just a brief statement.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 2131, the jailhouse witness bill, essentially it would put some requirements in place for prosecutors to disclose their intent to use a jailhouse informant to provide testimony. It would also require them to keep a database of the offers that they make to those types of informants and about the testimony that they may offer at trial.
Thank you. And there was a hearing in Senate Judiciary on a Senate version of the bill. I don't recall the number, but we did have a hearing on this. It wasn't until late in the session, and we didn't have time to work it in the Senate, so it's still in committee. And we do have a committee of 13, 8 are new to the committee, so it's a new topic for a lot of our committee. And we did hear a lot of opposition to the proposal in the hearing, and have since then heard that there's effort to get the parties together on it over the interim to hopefully get rid of the opposition position and bring everyone together in a compromise bill. That we've heard about this issue for a couple of sessions, but if we can get everyone on the same page, I think that would be the better path and give everyone an opportunity to make sure that as best we can, we get this policy right. Because it's, a policy that people are interested in on both sides of the issue, and I think it's fair that we give them an opportunity to get this worked out in a way that's productive for both. So we're not going to be able to accept that offer.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for that explanation, and noted. Thank you.
I think then if we want to take a look at 186, Senate Bill 186, that was prior convictions of crime. Actually, Senate Bill 186 is a bundle of two different bills. House Bill 2401 regarding prior convictions and whether those will be used for scoring purposes for sentencing, and also includes House Bill 2389 regarding if charged with certain sex offenses, then when you're setting the appearance bond and conditions of release, these things shall be taken into consideration by the court. Those are two bills that neither were heard in the Senate. However, I think there is an opportunity to work there and possibly also put in, so the Senate offer would be, there's some, again, the bills weren't heard in the Senate, but understand they have support in the House and want to be aware of that. So the Senate would offer for Senate Bill 186 to keep the contents of 2389 there, strike the contents of 2401, and I wanted to add something else there that could be a possibility. My chart here. Do we think 157 would fit in that? I think that would fit. So add the contents of 157, strike the contents of 2401, and then if we also wanted to add the contents of 2183.
Okay. Okay, so to reiterate, to make sure I understand, we're going to take Senate Bill 186, take out the contents of House Bill 2401, but put in the contents of Senate Bill 157 and also put in the contents of House Bill 2183. Is that what the offer is?
Yes.
Okay. I think we might step out to talk about that one because it's kind of, there's a lot of moving pieces. So could we step out to talk about that? Okay. Be right back. Okay, after discussion with my colleagues here, we will accept your offer.
Great, appreciate that. Thank you. And to further our work, just want to make sure for the record that we're rejecting the House's offer on 2155 since it was contingent on the protections provided for warrants that were offered from Senator Titus for Senate Bill 157. So that we're starting anew with 2155.
Hang on, just 1 second.
The offer was to put the scrap metal bill into 2155. And the acceptance by the Senate of the offer was contingent on the House accepting the amendment offered by the Senate on 157.
Yeah, so I think we're just back to ground zero with 2155 and also 2349, which is what was the scrap metal bill. We're back to, okay. I think yesterday, or go ahead. It's okay. No, I think yesterday I had mentioned putting the contents of Senate Bill 53, which is not in conference, but we had heard it, or you had heard it, sorry, you had passed it, about county law libraries, and we did, and the House didn't have it above the line, and putting that in Senate Bill 204. I had mentioned that yesterday as an offer. So I don't know if you've had time to think about that or talk about that.
Yeah, I did actually in my dreams.
You dreamed about the county law libraries?
And man, how we need to make sure they fund it, right? That's what this bill is.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That offer is accepted by the Senate.
And if we could have thank you for that. But I would like to know what, Senate Bill 204, what was the changes, what change was made on that one? And which one are we going to go with?
Well, it was your offer, so
Yeah, okay.
You're
But I was
offering-
asking, so it's in conference because what change did we make?
Madam Chair, so if you follow on the chart there, the section that came over from the Senate had to do with sealing and the subpoenas and the warrants.
Oh, yes, okay.
And the House did a balloon amendment in committee, basically from the courts, essentially, but also in coordination with law enforcement
Yep.
about getting seal sort of changed so that it wasn't completely removed from view, but was
Yep.
viewable to those who need it, and also adding returns of service.
Okay, and so just to make sure we're on the same page, we're taking the House version of Senate Bill 204 and adding in the language of 53.
Yes,
Is that what you all were
that's
thinking?
correct.
Okay, okay.
That's correct.
Okay, great, thank you
And
for that.
Since our body is having caucus of both parties at 9:30, could we just get a recap so that the revisers can start preparing conference committee reports of where we are for when we come back?
Great, thank you.
You want us to,
What the agreements from this morning?
Madam Chair, do you just want the things that you just newly agreed to? Is that what you're? thinking.
Sure, that'd be
like
great.
What you finalized. Okay, so I think the first one would be, yeah, on Senate Bill 186 to remove the contents of House Bill 2401, add the contents of Senate Bill 157 and the contents of 2183. And then on 204 to add the contents of Senate Bill 53. And I think that's all the new, I think you did, or, no. Yeah, I think that's all for the new agreements.
Before we leave, I think one other matter was hanging out there, the balloon on the House offer on 2164. If we could share that, and we've discussed it a lot kind of already conceptually, but just to get that in writing.
Okay, I think Jason has copies of the balloon amendment for us.
And the recollection on Senate sub for 2164 was that there were essentially 4 amendments regarding lowering the severity level, 2 levels, lowering the age of the minor victim from 18 to 16, the provision shall not apply entering onto school property for the sole purpose of attending a religious service, and then shall not apply to a person entering onto school property for instruction. I probably didn't do as good a job as the revisor would, but I think that's it essentially. So, right. Let us confer real quickly on that, and maybe we can get that one accomplished as well. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to discuss. As we talked yesterday, you know, this had a lot of opportunity in the Senate for amendment, and and it came out clean from committee, it came out clean across the Senate floor, and is a very strong position of 38-2. I had spoken yesterday, it was 37-3, but I didn't realize that another senator had asked to be a yes. So we've got 38-2 on this one. And so the ask from the Senate is that the House take another look at these four. And, you know, we're talking about keeping sex offenders on the registry out of schools is the point, so to keep kids safe. So we're not ready to accept, certainly not the whole offer. It may be part of the offer, but not available to do that at this time. So we'd ask the House to take a look again and possibly even concur on what the Senate did. But so take a look and we can come back and visit where we are on these. So.
Okay, we'll chat some more and get back to you.
With that, then, I think we have just a few bills left hanging out there in conference. And when do we want to reconvene? We're both on the floor at 10. So upon adjournment of the second chamber, or do we want to try to meet at 11? Why don't we say 11? If there's an opportunity there, let's do that. Okay. 11 in this room. Do we have this room? All right.
Okay, you'll just let us know. Okay, sounds great.
Thank you. With that, we are adjourned.
Thank you.